Recently, I saw the introduction of Minimal Audio's Morph EQ, and I was watching the reviews from White Sea over at White Sea Studio and Polarity, and they were saying how amazing this is. And initially, I was thinking, "Wow, this is cool." And then there's something in the back of my mind was saying something's wrong here, and it dawned on me. I was like, "Wait a minute! If you owned Bitwig Studio for the last 10 years, you're capable of doing this already." And so instead of buying this, I thought, well, maybe I could just do this in Bitwig using Bitwig stuff like their modulation. So what we have here is very simple, just a synth, and here's the sound. This is just a nice, good frequency range so that when we EQ it, we have a lot of frequencies to play with. And I'm just using FabFilter's Pro EQ 3. And what I did notice, though, is when people were trying to get it to do something interesting, their EQ was set to 0. And I found that the best thing to do is actually drop the EQ as low as it can go. So I did a high pass filter, or a high shelf and a low shelf, and then squashed them together in order to get it down to -30. And that then, anything you do after that with any type of band EQ should make a very audible difference. So, very simple. I used a band 1, and all I'm doing is I'm changing the frequency, the gain, and the Q. So let's just see what I'm using Bitwig's steps. And what I did was I took the amount knob and transferred the amount knob over to here so that once it starts going, you see it's doing nothing, but as soon as I turn this up, and you see that's just doing the band 1 gain. You're like, oh, well, that's not a big deal. That's not like Morph EQ. All right, so let's add a little Q to this. I use a different sequence of steps for the Q. And now, let's do the frequency. Now, that's looking a little bit more like Morph EQ, except we have a lot more control over it in Bitwig. So, let's go ahead and throw another band on. And let's add a little bit more variation by using a couple of LFOs. So obviously this guy is band 4 gain. And then let's slide him around a little bit. So this guy is influencing the amount of the first LFO. And there we go. Morph EQ. Oh, and you're saying, wait a minute. What about just doing a circle? Because that was one of the things in Morph EQ, everyone was doing circles. And so let's see if I put everything back to zeros. Let's see if we can do a circle. So let's just use classic LFO. And we'll just set this to a slower speed. Let's go to 1. And we'll keep this unipolar. Grab another classic. Set it to 2-1 again. And keep it bipolar, but this time set the phase to 25%. Now let's just add another node. So we'll start from scratch here. No gain. And then we'll go, of course, with Bitwig, it's very nice. You just type in what you want. Band 6, and so now we have access to all the quick band 6 parameters. So let's take this and frequency, and we'll take the second one and do the gain. And let's see what we got. Snare. And of course we could do more gain if we want to. And there you go. A nice circle, just like Morph EQ. And consider one more thing. With Morph EQ, you have to use their EQ with the morphing capability. With Bitwig, you can use the morphing capability with any EQ you happen to have. And I believe that people have usually more than one EQ in their arsenal. And this gives you an opportunity to use whichever EQ you happen to have, and you can morph any one of them.